Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 2 out of 13 for the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. It's season 1 for the 2022 season. We're at the fantastic, iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your lead commentator for tonight, and not just co-commentating, but also providing the broadcast is Steve Proudley. Steve, a very good evening to you, buddy.
Good evening, Alex. How are you, my friend?
All good, ready to rock and roll with these fantastic Radical SR8 V8s with a bit of motorcycle architecture between the two 72-degree angled V-banks that are on these cars. But just over 7 kilometres, it's going to be a true test. We've already had one race. We've gone from the twists and the turns of the Hungaroring, and we're now at the fantastic Spa-Francorchamps, just over 7 kilometres. We've got about 26 drivers. We've already had Simon Edwards take the victory last time out at the Hungaroring. There's plenty of action still to come. I mean, we've got the main sort of appetizer now, because the drivers will be out for a 10-minute qualifying session, but it's 3 laps that they'll have maximum. It's going to be interesting how the drivers really tackle the 7.004 kilometre circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always interesting with one make series racing. It's fantastic. It's close battles, and these Radicals, as you say, they're very exciting cars, very nimble, very quick. But it's a long lap for them. It's a big circuit, and it's a circuit where there are opportunities to gain time, but there are certainly opportunities to lose time as well. There are many curbs waiting to trip you up, but it's going to be an interesting one, and I think get qualifying out of the way and get down to the nitty gritty of the race, and I think we could be in for some good action round here tonight. I'm for one really looking forward to this one, Alex.
I'm absolutely buzzing, just like you are, Steve. So the calendar for season 1 for 2022 will be Donington Park next week, the national circuit. Then it's Okayama, week 4. Then it's Autodromo Carlos Pache, Brazil, Interlagos, week 5. Then it's Mosport, Canada, week 6. Watkins Glen in the USA, week 7. Week 8, we head to Suzuka in Japan. Then it's the Hockenheimring in Germany, week 9. Oulton Park, the Island Circuit, week 10. Then we've got week 11, which will be Barber Motorsports Park, which will be the full course in the United States. And rounding out what's going to be an interesting calendar for this season, the Nürburgring Nordschleife in Germany, round the Green Hell, so dubbed by 3-time Formula 1 world champion Sir Jackie Stewart. The UK and Ireland Radical Race Series is brought to you in association with HPE Automotive and also the iLounge Racing. There's Christopher Kane in the number 69, the Tuna Canoe, as he's aptly called it. But also, charity is very much part and parcel of what we do here at the Radical Race Series, and if you head to the link in the description on the YouTube channel, Live Life, which is basically to help Their mission is to help you start the journey to a happier you by providing you with high-quality online therapy with the highest levels of quality assurance and compliance. As we keep an eye on Christopher Kane in the number 69 car now, heading down the Camel Straight, heading into Les Cômes. And these cars, Steve, 2.6 litre, the PowerTech RPA, which has doesn't scream like a Banshee like the GXXR 1300 Suzuki lumps.
So eloquently put.
I know, they don't scream like a Banshee, but still with a 10,500 RPM rev limit. You know, it's twin cam, 4-valve, 4-cylinder Suzuki cylinder heads that are literally, and the blocks, they're installed at a 72-degree angle. And it's purpose-built crankshaft, custom cast light alloy drums, some crankcase. You know, the use of the motorcycle engines, as we see Paul LeMay literally going a little bit exit stage right during this 10-minute qualifying session. As you said, these cars are very light, they're very nimble, they're very part and parcel of the UK motorsport scene. And to see drivers have the same vehicles around every single track over the 13-week calendar is something that's rather exciting. But around a test like Spa-Francorchamps, these drivers are going to be sweating buckets, but they're also going to be having a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's going to be hard work. I mean, these cars are fun. I think the smile factor outweighs the work factor. You know, they are going to be great fun to drive, and that's one thing we've got to watch. I think, you know, you say they don't scream like a Banshee. I think they still reach higher notes than I can ever reach these days. But 10,500 RPM, it's really, you know, it's screaming as far as I'm concerned down there for that car. But it's yeah, it's going to be exciting, and it's more about the handling characteristics. I think with these cars, they are very, very agile, but because they're so light, I think the fine line of grip and slip is very fine, if you know what I mean. There's not a lot of warning before they actually do go, and yeah, it makes for some exciting racing and some exciting driving. You know, it's going to be good.
Fellow lap times already coming in. John McHutchinson already in with a 2-minute 10.84. Paul Crabb, 2-minute 11.09. We've just seen Paul LeMay go across the line. There is John McHutchinson from running the Saltire from Scotland, currently in pole position at the moment. Paul Crabb and the number 64, who's currently third in the standings after a third place finish at the Hungaroring. Dave Dowson and the number 19 comes across the line. Just keeping an eye on where the drivers are filtering in at the moment. Paul Clark, who I saw have a little bit of an off-track excursion during free practice a bit before we got going here on the live stream. Currently P8 on a 2-minute 11.91, as Dave Dowson currently sitting 13th position on a 2-minute 12.95. But John McHutchinson currently nearly halfway through his second lap. Patrick Charlton from Radar Racing in the number 15. Currently coming through into a hefty braking zone, and that will be the bus stop chicane after having negotiated his way throh Corporal Frère and then Blanchimont. So where will the number 15 factor in as the car now makes its way across the line? Just wait for the timing to update itself. 18 cars have put in a lap time. Hopefully Patrick Charlton's lap time will register very shortly, because they're coming through at a high rate of knots. Daryl Taylor's gone off. Graham Brown has gone off around about sort of 60% through the lap. And Charlton goes up into 10th as Jamie Bird in the number 39 goes P9 on a 2-minute 12.05. Got 6.5 minutes of the session completed. A very, very long lap here, Steve. This will give the drivers probably at best another 2 laps of being able to get across the stripe and get some lap times in, but John McHutchinson has got a very tall order for the rest of the drivers to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you generally spend one of you've got your out lap and your first flying lap to get the banker in. You're still really usually building the car's temperatures up, the tyre temperatures, brake temps, everything like that to to get it to that optimum. And it's normally your second flying lap usually where you set that time. That's where you're really gunning for it. hopefully you've got that banker lap in, you're going to gun for it on your second flying lap. But round here the laps are so long, you know, if you make a mistake, you've got such a long way to get round before you can start again. Or you can go back to the pits and start again and have to do another outlap, you know, and start that whole process all over again in such a short space of time. I think it's, you know, you end up just keeping going. But yeah, the long lap does hinder, I think, qualifying as far as we can tell. It's about keeping it on that black stuff, keeping it in the right place, and you know, getting that perfect lap in as best you can. But you know, it's not all over in qualifying. Let's not you know, forget that there's a long race ahead of us, and like we said, with one make racing, there's slipstreaming, there's going to be battles, there's going to be it's going to be some good racing.
Simon Edwards, the current points leader after taking victory at the Hungaroring last time out a week ago, already fired the warning shot across the bow of McHutchinson with a 2-minute 10.66. He's currently 55% of the way through the lap at the moment, so we'll be heading towards the likes of Campos, Lefagny and Stavlo, as the number 52 makes his way through into the right-hander at full commitment. Absolutely flying through there. Now he's going to go through Paul Frere. So let's see. So Charlton goes up into 8th position, 2 minutes 11.281, as Simon Edwards is fully committed. Headlights ablaze, 1.5 minutes left in the session, still to go here at the second round of Season 1 of the 2022 UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. As I like the fact that they're coming up with their different team names. Daryl Taylor, Epicure Banana, and there's definitely quite a lot of yellow on that car as the 222, currently 10th at the moment, comes across the line with about a minute to spare. And Hutchinson last time around puts in a 2 minute 10.233, but I'm waiting for Simon Edwards to try and put a lap time in, and he goes quicker still. He puts in a 2 minute 10.59, but John McHutchinson in the number 22, Steve, is on provisional pole, and he was 4/10 quicker than Simon Edwards on his second lap in qualification.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was some good qualifying there. There's a couple of guys still just coming round to finish their final laps, as it were, before we go to grid. We'll bring you the qualifying results as soon as the session is over and those come in. But yeah, that was an interesting qualifier, wasn't it? There's a little bit of time swapping going on at the top of the table, but everybody pretty much getting a clean lap in and managing to put a time on the board. That's the main thing, because you know, as much as that's qualifying for the grid position, it's also the last chance to get your final bit of practice in, isn't it, before the start of the race?
Yep, so it looks like John McHutchinson has taken pole position in this second round out of 13 here at the iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, not too far, about 100 kilometres south of the home of champions in Belgium, Karting Genk, a track that I normally frequent, which I've managed to be there for quite a few times over the last few years or so, and I'm heading back there. So here is your grid lineup. It's going to be John McHutchinson versus the current championship leader, Simon Edwards, on row 1, with McHutchinson on pole. Graham Brown, who's currently sitting 4th in the championship, will have Paul Crabb, who's ahead of him in the standings just by 3 points. That's row 2. Dan Webster and Paul LeMay, row 3. Mike Busson and Daryl Taylor, row 4. Patrick Charlton and Oliver Ettridge complete the top 10. Then it's Martin Booker and Paul Clark completing row number 6 on the grid. We'll have a look a little bit further down the order, and in 13th will be the 777 of Michael LeMay. Dominic Lane Webb in the number 8 will start alongside on row 7. Luke Grunman and Jamie Bird, row 8. Dave Kirkman and Colin Wynn, row 9. Dave Dowson and Graham Brown complete the top 20. Then it's Christopher Kane, Phil Jocelyn, Rob Noble, Phil Glover, Guy Robertson and Thomas Burling. 26 competitors set to get into battle over this iconic 7.004 kilometre circuit as they're all starting to ready up on the grid. And Steve, Spa looks to be a little bit more of a sunrise application here at Spa, but all the headlights ablaze on these 26 Radical SR V8s with producing around about 350 brake horsepower. Looks like things have gotten underway, and it's the run down Down the hill, all this is going to get close going through into Orrouge and Radion, but McHutchinson gets through, stays ahead of Edwards, but Edwards will have the slipstream. He's looking one way, looking the other. There looks to be a battle for 5th position as Edwards looking around the outside, down the Kemmel Straight, and looks like Graham Brown is going to nearly make it 3 abreast, but Edwards trying to hang it round the outside of McHutchinson, through into the approach onto Lecombe, but he has to back out of it. Neatly done there by Edwards, Steve, but now he's trying to go on the inside, and McHutchinson is not letting him get past. But Edwards was pretty dominant in the first round at the Hungaroring, but McHutchinson looks like there's a change for 4th position. I think Crabb has just got past Webster as they go down the hill through Malmedy, now heading through towards Bruxelles. But McHutchinson got the job done on Edwards rather early, despite the number 52's best efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to see some real close racing with these guys. They're all tucking in, they're all finding their place, falling into line as it were. We've got the side-by-side out the way. We've now got them going single file, and they're all going to be looking to make the moves as definitely as Mike Busson is trying to hustle Charlton in front of him, and they're all extremely close, and this is how I foresee it, and this is what makes this racing great.
Yeah, Paul LeMay looks to have had... Oh, and there's been a multi-car incident at the back. There has been 4 cars. Lane Webb, Michael LeMay, Jamie Bird looks to have, and Luke Grunman all pretty much into the pits as part of this the regulations. You can have 1 fast repair, so expect a couple of these cars to be back onto the track. We're going to have a quick replay here. So there's Luke Grunman. Literally had nowhere to go and flipped end over end. Thomas Burling in the pits as well. So quite a lot of attrition there. Luke Grunman's car in the pit lane, so they can have a fast repair as we've completed lap number 1, and it is about 3/10 of a second, 3.5 tenths between John McHutchinson, as there's a little bit of a battle between the number 15 of Patrick Charlton and also the number 27 of Paul LeMay as they come through La Source, down the hill in towards Radion. We ride on board with Paul LeMay, now back to Patrick Charlton in the number 15, really using the slipstream at full commitment, 6th gear, probably about 10,000 RPM. But one of the good things about the Kemmel Straight heading into Lecombe is that Patrick Charlton can bide his time and wait for the prime opportunity to get past Paul LeMay, and looks to do exactly what Simon Edwards tried to do on John McHutchinson, but then Mike Busson just right behind in the number 18, a little bit further back. Guy Robertson in the number 26 is trying to chase down Darrell Taylor in the 222. That's for 19th position on the road as they're going down the hill, as both McHutchinson and Edwards have slightly gone off track, and that's one of the things you don't want to do early doors. But Graham Brown, Dan Webster and Paul Crabb running at a very closely packed top 5. We're going to have a look back at a replay with Thomas Burling in the number 20. Goes literally goes off the track, and the car has literally gone end over end, but McHutchinson is trying to scarper away early. He's now got nearly a 7/10 of a second advantage as they're going through in towards Stavelot. And Edwards doesn't need to push right now, but what he's got to do here, Steve, is keep Graham Brown, Dan Webster at bay, but he's also got to see whether McHutchinson makes any mistake in the next couple of minutes or so, because that could give him a window of opportunity to strike.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, while he's got a little bit of comfort zone there, a little bit of a gap, it doesn't take much of a mistake for you to lose that half a second or so, and all of a sudden you're back under pressure. So make no mistake about it, there's no relaxation room whatsoever. All these cars still nose to tail, and Hutchinson, while he's got the clear track in front, he'll be very, very aware of Edwards. He's only half a second behind, and Brown potentially he's only a couple of tenths further back there. You know, so they're all very, very close still, and I think that's how it's going to stay. It's going to be very, very hard for anyone to make a break. And just looking at Busson here in P8, looking at Charlton in 7th, and he's again, as he was on the previous lap, he's in a slipstream position, but it just didn't seem like it had the massive effect, although he's had a better run there, and he's carrying a bit more speed. He might just have enough speed to get the job done this time.
Charlton actually ran wide coming out of Radion as Graham Brown sets the fastest lap of the race, 2 minute 10.91. But yeah, Mike Busson trying to go around the outside. Is he going to get the job done? Oh, he goes wide and nearly ends up sideways. And that is going to allow the likes of Oliver Ettridge And did I just see Ettridge go round the outside? No, hang on, that was Martin Booker that's just gone round the outside, going through the exit of Les Combes on Mike Busson. Let's just have a look at the replay. So Booker just absolutely goes, nails the foot to the floor, round the outside. He's done the job, and it was all just a little bit of clumsiness there from Mike Busson, because he went for the outside move through Les Combes, and if you don't get that right, you're going to be bumping over those sausage curbs, and that's not going to help you with the force feedback, is it, Steve?
Absolutely not. No, that's going to make you work a little bit harder, and if there was any danger of you relaxing, that's certainly going to wake you up and put you back into code red full attack mode, because you know, the feedback through those curves definitely wake you up. But Brown here now in P3, he was coming under a bit of pressure from Webster in P4, although he's extended that gap out. We're talking about an extra tenth of a second when I say extended it out, but you know, breathing the room is a bit of breathing room. But they are all, you know, still within half a second of each other, this top four. The bigger gap is down to from 4th to 5th from Webster to Crabb, but this top four are starting to break away, they're starting to pull ahead, but none of them are letting each other relax, and I think they're not fighting too hard either, more importantly, Alex, which isn't slowing them down in any way, really.
No, not really. I think the thing is that what they're trying to do is extend the gap and then just break away from those behind. And Graham Brown doing a great job keeping Dan Webster at bay, and that's the battle for P3 on the road. But Martin Booker is now about 4.1 seconds behind Paul Crabb. Is Patrick Charlton in the number 15. Is that who is that? That's Booker. Martin Booker has jumped 5 places in the first 3 and a bit laps of this race, and look at it, it's all flotsam and jetsam. Mike Busson trying to get past Charlton and has got the run. Who's trying? No, don't tell me. Paul LeMay's trying to make it 3 wide, going down the Kemmel Straight. That is never going to work going into Les Combes on a month of Sundays. Oh, Mike Busson outbreaks himself. He had to take avoiding action there, because he nearly could have ended up the back wing, into the back wing of Martin Booker, and that could have been absolutely disastrous. Colin Wynne, in the meantime, battling away with Dave Kirkman, and Colin Wynne has just done a Martin Booker on, of all people, on Dave Kirkman. So really good racing here at Spa-Francorchamps as they go down the hill once again. Steve, you said about close quarter racing. I see it in karting. I have never seen a sim race like this, where we've got identical SR8 V8 radicals pushing over 350 brake horsepower. Absolutely incredible. But I've seen that Graham Brown and Dan Webster have gone off track. I mean, Phil Glover here battling away with Darrell Taylor, who was dropped from 8th position, the 222, now down to 18th position. But we're still only 8 minutes and 10 seconds into this race, as someone's had a bit of a moment. Now, please do not tell me that is Mike Busson has had a bit. That's as a result of him outbraking himself, going through into Les Combes, and there's more cars going off wide. I mean, what's going on here at Spa? They're all going hammer and tongs, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, like you say, it's the one-make racing series. Everybody's battling for that position ahead of them, and there's nobody with any serious advantage. No car's stronger than the car in front or behind. You just see somebody else has just crashed as well. I think that was Brown that's just crashed.
Yeah, let's just have a look now. This is coming through into... Oh, that is not what you want. That is the 63. That's Graham Brown, and he's had a tag. Oh, that's not great at all. That was coming through the bus stop chicane, but that just goes to show it's all fair in love and racing.
Yeah, just back up at the front at the moment though, and it's looking like Hutchinson and Edwards are just maybe pulling away a bit, because Webster and Brown are attacking each other a little bit too much, slowing themselves down, and that's allowing Crabb to just hang on to the back of them and turn this into a 3-car battle, while the front two just scamper away a little bit. They've got a couple of seconds down the road now.
They have indeed, and then you look at the gap back from Paul Crabb to Martin Booker. That is now over 5.5 seconds. So the battles have started to emerge. I mean, Colin Wynne and Patrick Charlton and Paul LeMay and Paul Clark have all had a little bit of a code red moment, or code brown as we like to say in sim racing, quite recently. But
they've gone for some fresh overalls.
Yeah, and that includes the Nomex underneath, Steve. But we're 10 minutes into so we're 6th into this 1 hour race, and what a cavalcade of action we have had so far. But John McHutchinson, who took pole position after the 3-lap 10-minute qualifying session earlier on this evening, leading the way ahead of Simon Edwards. So Simon Edwards will still lead this championship with a total of 75 points come the end of this race if he stays exactly where he is. But considering the fact that he has incrementally been chipping away at that lead, McHutchinson is just about 4.5 tenths ahead as Dave Dowson closing in on Guy Robertson. Some great camera angles as we're seeing going through Blanchimont. Dowson looking to the left. He's got to be very, very careful because he's got, I think he's got behind him, that is Daryl Taylor, the Epicuri Banana squad in the 222. Started 8th, now in 18th position. Now Daryl Taylor finished 9th last time out with a total of 22 points at the opening round at the Hungaroring, and he'll have 35 points at the end of this motor race. Christopher Kane in the Tuna Canoe, the number 69. He started a little bit further down the order. I'm just going to have a quick look. He qualified 21st, so he's already up 7 positions coming into this part of the race as he's closing in on the number 13 of Phil Glover, who's made up 11 positions, the most gained by anybody, and that is, I think that's Mike Bousson who's just got past Christopher Kane. So Chris Kane down another position as it's side by side for 3rd. Oh, actually 4th, as that was Paul Crabb getting very close into Pouon, going through into the first half of it on the inside of Graham Brown, and Graham Brown had to act swiftly there, Steve. He needed cat-like reflexes, and I think he lost one of his 9 lives in the process.
Yeah, absolutely, a bit of side-by-side, and then it's about who's the bravest as well, and like you say, the reactions were saved the day, and it's all good to go on to the next attack and into the next foray of action. But yeah, the battling, the spreading out a little bit at the front, gapping sort of around about a second between the cars now up there, but this mid-pack battling is as intense as ever, and it's a case of, you know, one slightest trip up, one mistake, and you're going to get pounced on by 2 or 3 cars here, because this battle now for P13 with Bousson is just intense. He's climbing all over the back of Glover now, and he's really looking for a way past. He's going to have to be decisive, and I think he might try and send it at the end of this straight.
Yeah, so Bousson started 7th, had that outbreak manoeuvre. Good to see Jack Ashton cheering on Graham Brown, who dropped from 3rd. There's 2 Grahams. There's one with Graham, and then we got Graeme. Thank goodness for spelling to change to make sure that everything's all going all right. So here we're having a look at a replay here. This is with Paul LeMay, who started 6th. Now this is going through La Source. Oh, loses the back end and lights up the rear tyres in good style there. But Daryl Taylor, we go back to him, the 222, closing in on Robertson in the number 26, who started down in 25th position, now 16th, as it's nearly 3 abreast, 2 wide. Oh, 2-way there, as Mike Bousson has just done a number on the likes of Phil Glover and Phil Jocelyn, and Jocelyn and Glover were nearly side by side going through Malmedy. Oh my goodness, so they're definitely not watching their P's and Q's, and Guy Robertson nearly ends up into the side pod of Phil Jocelyn going through the They are giving no quarter, Steve, no quarter whatsoever.
They are absolutely keeping us entertained, and this is what we want to see. Some fantastic racing. It's really, really close together, and nobody giving an inch, are they? You know, it's all respectful. They're all pretty much giving each other just enough racing room, but it is all about that just enough phrase. no more than they have to, and they're running, you know, side by side. We've seen them coming down right down straight, 3 wide, and almost looking like sometimes a 4th car's wanting to try and find a way in there. But yeah, absolutely intense racing now, as we're just looking at Kirkman, and he's trying to put a move on Clark, and it's looking like he might the camera angle there just gave a bit of told a little bit of a lie, and he just wasn't. I thought he was alongside. He had the inside line.
Sorry to cut across you there, Steve. That's Paul LeMay, because Clark's up the road, about half a second away from this battle. So, LeMay absolutely sends it sideways, going through the first parts of the bus stop chicane, loses the back end. But the battle for the lead very much on at the minute, because between McHutchinson and Edwards it's just over 2/10. But Martin Booker leads this 3-kart scrap ahead of Patrick Charlton and Oliver Ettridge in the 15 and the 447. Booker keeps it nice and tidy, but Charlton's got the run on the car at the moment, the number 72. Look at him, absolutely bump drafting like nobody's business, and has got the inside run. Will Charlton make it up the inside of Booker? Yes, he gets there. He gets through there. Nice and neatly done. Great textbook move there by Patrick Charlton to send it past Martin Booker to take 6th place. That's a gain for the number 15 from 9th to 6th, as we now reconcentrate our focus with 16 minutes and 15 seconds completed of this 1-hour race here at Spa-Francorchamps. John McHutchinson has not been given 1 inch of breathing room, courtesy of the number 52 of Simon Edwards. And at the lowest interval between the pair, Edwards had closed it to within probably the best part of just under 2.5 tenths of a second. But Edwards very much knowing that he doesn't necessarily have to win this race as we go back to replay. Here's Rob Noble in the number 25. The left-hand side of the rear wing of that SR8 is looking a bit askew, let's say. But you could just see how you tell a racing driver, look, you'll be good to catch up and maybe pass him towards the end of the race. Well, if Simon Edwards is anything to go by, had a look earlier on at the race at the Hungaroring, he was pretty much unchallenged. But now John McHutchinson has come into this race and has decided, I'm going to put a cat amongst the pigeons, as Dave Dowson, once again still battling away with Guy Robertson. That's the battle for 16th position on the road. The good thing about this championship, it is the best 10 out of 12 scores over the course of this calendar. Paul Crabb in the meantime has set the fastest lap of this race after, 8 laps of racing, 2 minute 10.58. You know what, Steve? That was 1/100th quicker than Simon Edwards' qualifying time at 2 minute 10.59. Is Paul Crabb getting who's that up the inside of Paul Crabb? Well, that is Crabb on Webster, and Crabb running the old Jaguar livery, and good to see the Commodore 64 is being well represented. Thank you very much, Dan Webster, on that front. Just showing my age a little bit there.
Absolutely, just cut to another replay of Dave Dowson. Now I think he's just going to lose it through here. Is he just maybe a little bit greedy on that loud pedal? As somebody else is also facing the wrong way there as well.
That was the 18. That was Mike Bousson. So again, Mike Bousson. You know what they say, Steve? Once bitten, twice shy. So this is coming down into La Source, hits the curbing, lights up the rear tyres, or back end steps out, and the front end hits the barriers. Ouch.
Yeah, not what you want to do, is it? I mean, it just goes to show these cars, you know, they're very light, they're very agile, they've got the power to weight ratio is impressive, but if you light those rear wheels up just a little bit too aggressively, it's going to come round and it's going to bite, and that just shows what car control these guys have got up at the front here. Well, throughout the field, to be fair, just racing so hard, so close, and we're not seeing a lot of those incidents that are all too easy to trip up over.
Good battle here. This is the battle for the final step on the virtual rostrum. Paul Crabb leading Dan Webster. Graham Brown has got the ringside seat, and the good thing is that Graham Brown, he has the opportunity to close on in on either one of these two. So if these two tangle up in front, and God forbid that does not happen, because they've been battling away really, really nicely and cleanly, you can see that Edwards is right with McHutchinson. We could see a possible move for the lead, and it's on lap number 9, or lap 10 actually. So we've hit double digits, 20 minutes in, a third through. Oh, Edwards is going to go for the inside run, but McHutchinson's going to hang it round the outside and keeps it. And it's side by side between Webster and Crabb. And Crabb has... Oh, Webster goes off the circuit. Crabb manages to get through round the outside, but Edwards did not get past McHutchinson. He did a bit of a karting move there, did Simon Edwards, and was trying to force John McHutchinson into a mistake going down the approach into Les Combes. But McHutchinson there had the presence of mind, Steve, to keep Edwards at bay. And of all the places to do it, one of the most brazen places that you can sternly defend is the entrance into Les Combes.
Yeah, absolutely. He knew what he was doing, and it was all about racecraft. He moved over to try to cover that inside line as much as possible, but he knew that by leaving just that little bit of a gap there, that Edwards was going to be compromised in the braking zone and on the entry, because he just tightened it up far too much for him, and McHutchinson just had the better line through there, and he was always going to keep that position at that point, I think. But yeah, great driving from both of them, and really respectful. And the gap, it does seem to, through the middle part and the latter bit, it goes out to around about half a second every single lap nearly, and then it closes right up now in this braking zone. It seems like Edwards manages to get back onto the rear end of that car, that number 22 car in front, and then he manages to hang on to it for the slipstream.
Yeah, I think it's under the brakes where Simon Edwards really does have a lot of...
Just a nicer line through that turn one.
He does.
Yeah,
going through La Source there, he absolutely nailed the apex, and now McHutchinson is looking in his virtual rear view mirrors, because now, here we go, less than a tenth between them. Edwards is at flat chat. I bet you that throttle's buried to the floor. He's now going to pull alongside, and Edwards, has he got the move done? They have a little bit of contact, wheel to wheel around the outside. Oh, Edwards off the circuit onto the grass, and he has to relinquish that. He knew that if he got that lead, he would have had to do the gentlemanly thing and give the place back to McHutchinson, and he already knew that by the time, and that's not the first time that John McHutchinson has gone off track at that particular... no, not McHutchinson. It was effectively going to be the case that Edwards would have to relinquish that position. Jack Ashton, this is open setup, I believe, according to the official regulations. So this is my first time commentating on radicals. Now, hang on a second, Steve. Does the white lights on the side of the timer, does that indicate a last lap situation, like white flag?
Not quite sure, to be honest. So we have got a replay of Michael Lemay.
Please do not say this is a Mondieu moment. Lost the back end, and ouch.
Yeah, that explains a couple of the replays that were queuing up there to be shown. Obviously all went into one incident, but that was a big hit, and that was a back to pits, and I think that's a big repair.
RTG, an RTG, so that could be, it's probably already had one fast repair, so that'll be a lot of time in the garage. Still this battle waging on for P3 on the road at the minute. Webster, as Paul Crabb looking to dive up the inside, thinks better of it going through into La Source, waiting for Webster, that's Dan Webster, to run a little bit wide.
Final lap.
So final lap, well hang on, the checkered flag has already gone out, so John McHutchinson I think has taken the victory, which is the case. Edwards takes second. Webster, so Dan Webster takes P3, Paul Crabb takes fourth ahead of Graham Brown. Martin Booker started down in 11th position, finishes in 6th ahead of Oliver Ettridge, who started 10th, finished in 7th. Paul Clark up from 12th to 8th at the flag. Patrick Charlton and Paul LeMay complete the top 10, with Dave Kirkman, Phil Jocelyn, Phil Glover and Christopher Kane rounding out the top 14. Graham Brown in 15th. Now, the driver that has made up the most positions in this race, Phil Glover, started 24th, finished in 13th position. Mike Bousson, unfortunately, dropping down all the way to 17th from 7th at the flag ahead of Guy Robertson. Looks like John Noble's going to come around and complete the top 19 ahead of Jamie Bird in the number 39, who completes the top 20. But John McHutchinson comes in at round 2 of season 1 of the 2022 UK and Ireland Radical Race Series here at Spa-Francorchamps. And I don't think the term did a number on Simon Edwards here, Steve, and for a couple of reasons. Simon Edwards was the driver coming into this round as the championship leader, but John McHutchinson has fired the warning shot across the bow, and I think Simon Edwards knows that he's going to have an opportunity. So we're going to have a look through just some of the highlights as they got underway with a cloud of wheel spin. But McHutchinson here goes instantly on the defensive, going through Eau Rouge and then through into Radion. And Edwards already, Steve, had closed on in, and Graham Brown was getting right up close and personal, but it was Edwards' decision to pull to the outside of McHutchinson that compromised him, not for the first time during the race, was it?
No, absolutely not. You know, there was a few moves there where they were literally looking to, like you say, it's all about unnerving the guy in front. And we talk about overtakes in any class of racing where it's a lot of the time the overtakes come from pressure, but on, you know, more so in the one make series, because as we said, your cars very rarely have any sort of big advantage anywhere on the track. It's not like different classes or different makes of cars where they'll be stronger in different areas than others. It's all about the setup. It's an open setup, we believe, so you can make the setup tweaks. So maybe, you know, they've got a slight advantage depending how you've set the car up, but that advantage isn't going to be massive, is it? It's going to be all about putting pressure on the driver in front, I think.
Yeah, very much the case. And looking a little bit further back at the grid, so you had the likes of Phil Jocelyn, Rob Noble, whose wing was a bit askew early, a little bit later on in the race, but 3 wide. I mean, you got the number 69 of Christopher Kane, you know, like even off of the start, going through into, you know, down into Eau Rouge and then into Radion. You know, it just goes to show that, as you said, with regards to the single mate series, that just shows how competitive this championship is going to be. I mean, especially when, you know, Donington National is going to be on the cards for the next round in a week's time. As this is, you know, so we have a week to bring in Christmas, and then we have a week to bring in a race evening to bring in 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just like the Radicals. I think they're a fantastic class of car to be racing in the first place. And when you get a grid, I mean, this is my first experience with this community, and what I've seen this evening. I mean, the racing respect, as we sort of joked about earlier, they're leaving just enough room for each other, and you can see in these slow-mo replays here how that, you know, there's just so much respect for each other on track, and they will run each other wide. We saw that they'll squeeze them as much as they can, but they're not causing them to crash generally from what we've seen. It's great, respectful racing, and I, for one, am looking forward to Donington next week, Alex.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if we're going to be able to catch some words with any of the drivers, but that's it from us here at the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series, brought to you courtesy of HPE Automotive and iLounge Racing. On behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Steve Proudley, and also Absolute Sim Racing, your official broadcasters of this series, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in a week's time at the National Circuit at Donington Park in Leicestershire. Until then, thanks for watching. Stay safe.